It was one of those cold mornings that seem to press down on your chest. The kind where the sky stays gray, and even the sunlight feels tired. People rushed past each other on the sidewalk, eyes glued to their phones, shoulders hunched, hearts somewhere else entirely. No one noticed the man sitting quietly on the corner bench, except for one person. And sometimes, that's all it takes. Just one person. One moment. One small act that can quietly change everything. Before we begin, take a second to support the channel. If stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps keep these meaningful stories alive. Mark Thompson had always believed in minding his own business. He wasn't rude, just practical. Living in a busy city like Chicago had taught him that people came and went, and everyone had their own problems. You kept your head down, did your job, and got through the day. At 38, Mark worked as an accountant in a mid-sized firm downtown. His life was predictable. Wake up, grab coffee, take the train, work, come home, microwave dinner, sleep. Repeat. But lately, something felt off. It wasn't something he could explain easily. It was just emptiness. Like he was moving through life, but not really living it. That morning, as he stepped out of the coffee shop with his usual black coffee, he noticed the man on the bench. He looked older, maybe in his late 60s. His coat was worn, his hands slightly trembling as he tried to warm them by blowing into his palms. A small paper cup sat beside him with a few coins inside. Mark paused for a second. Then, like he always did, he started to walk away. But something stopped him. He glanced back. The man wasn't looking at anyone. He wasn't calling out. He just sat there, quietly, like he had already accepted being invisible. Mark felt a strange pull in his chest. He walked back. "Hey," Mark said, a little awkwardly. The man looked up, surprised. His eyes were tired but kind. "Morning," the man replied softly. Mark hesitated, then held out his coffee. "You want this? I can grab another one." The man blinked, almost as if he wasn't sure he heard correctly. "You do that?" Mark shrugged. "Yeah. It's no big deal." The man took the cup carefully, like it was something fragile. "Thank you, really." Mark nodded and turned to go, but then stopped again. "What's your name?" he asked. "Walter," the man said. "I'm Mark." For a moment, they just stood there, two strangers connected by a simple exchange. "Take care, Mark," Walter said with a faint smile. "You too," Mark replied. And then he walked away. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. All day, Mark couldn't stop thinking about Walter. It wasn't the coffee. It was the way Walter looked at him. Not with desperation or expectation, but with genuine gratitude. It felt different. The next morning, Mark found himself stopping by the same bench again. Walter was there. This time, Mark didn't hesitate. He walked straight over with 2 coffees. "Thought you might want one," Mark said. Walter smiled, a little wider this time. "You're back." "Yeah," Mark said, sitting down beside him. "Yes, I am." They talked for a few minutes. Nothing deep. Just small things, weather, the city, the usual. But something about it felt easy. Comfortable. Day by day, it became a routine. Mark would bring coffee. Sometimes a sandwich. Sometimes just conversation. And slowly, Walter began to open up. He told Mark about his past, how he used to work as a mechanic, how he had a family once, how things fell apart after his wife passed away. Medical bills, lost savings, bad luck, one thing led to another. "Life doesn't always go the way you plan," Walter said one morning, staring out at the street. Mark nodded. "Yeah, I'm starting to realize that." For the first time in a long time, Mark felt like he was truly listening to someone. Not just hearing words, but understanding a story. Weeks passed. Something inside Mark began to change. He started noticing people more, holding doors open, smiling at strangers, checking in on coworkers instead of just exchanging quick greetings. And each time, it felt like a small weight was lifting off his shoulders. One evening, Mark stayed late at work. His coworker, Lisa, looked stressed, staring at her computer screen. "Everything okay?" Mark asked. Lisa sighed. "Not really. My mom's in the hospital, and I'm trying to finish this report." "Go home," Mark said. "What?" "I'll finish it," he said. "You should be with your mom." Lisa looked at him, surprised. "You don't have to do that." "I know," Mark said. "But I want to." She hesitated, then smiled. "Thank you, Mark. That really means a lot." As she left, Mark sat down and started working on the report. And for the first time, working late didn't feel like a burden. It felt like purpose. The next morning, Mark went to the bench again. But Walter wasn't there. Mark frowned. He waited a few minutes. Then 10. Nothing. A strange sense of worry crept in. He checked again the next day. Still nothing. Days turned into a week. Mark felt a quiet emptiness returning, heavier this time. Had something happened? He realized something important then. Walter wasn't just a stranger anymore. He was a friend. 2 weeks later, Mark was walking down the same street when he saw something that made him stop. It was Walter. But he looked different. Cleaner. Healthier. He was standing outside a small repair shop, talking to someone. "Walter?" Mark called out. Walter turned, and his face lit up. "Mark!" They walked toward each other, both smiling. "Where have you been?" Mark asked. Walter chuckled. "You're not going to believe this. That day you brought me lunch, someone saw us talking. Turns out he owns this shop. Needed a part-time mechanic. Gave me a chance." Mark blinked. "Seriously?" Walter nodded. "Yeah. I've been working here ever since. Saving up. Got a small place now." Mark felt something warm spread through his chest. "That's amazing," he said. Walter looked at him, his eyes filled with gratitude. "You didn't just give me coffee, Mark. You reminded me I still mattered." Mark swallowed, emotion rising in his throat. "I didn't do much," he said quietly. Walter shook his head. "You did more than you think." They stood there for a moment, both understanding something deeper without needing to say it. Kindness isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing up. About seeing someone who feels invisible and reminding them they're not. That evening, as Mark walked home, the city didn't feel as cold anymore. The same streets, the same people, but everything looked different. Because he was different. He realized that the emptiness he had been feeling wasn't because something was missing from his life. It was because something wasn't being shared. Kindness had filled that space. Not just for Walter, but for him too. So here's the truth. You never know what someone is going through. You never know how close someone might be to giving up. And you never know how powerful a small act can be. A smile. A conversation. A simple cup of coffee. These things may seem small to you, but to someone else, they might mean everything. If this story touched your heart, take it with you. Look around. There are people everywhere who feel unseen. Be the one who notices. Be the one who cares. Because kindness doesn't just change others. It changes you. And sometimes, it changes everything.